All right, here we are. We are on episode 2 of American Dreamin', and we will talk a lot today about the coronavirus. We have some guests today with us that are experts in their field or in their experiences. So first we have me. I run Epic Mortgage. I've done that since 2013, but I've been a loan officer since 2003. I'm part of a charity which actually is left not being able to do what we want to do the next couple months. We had a couple projects with Ronald McDonald House where we were going to go serve, and our charities was forced just to send money and not be able to participate. But that's okay. But that's Partners Making a Difference, which is a great charity. We have Merrie Johnson, who I've known for a long time. She's with Berkshire Hathaway. She runs an awesome team there with multiple agents. So she's here with us. She's in Grand Blanc. Evan Cruse, who works down at the House of Representatives. He's a legislative aide for State Rep John Reilly, and he's with us today. And we also have Ben Gonzales, who has a couple different important roles here amongst this. He's a pastor of a church, First Baptist Church in Goodrich, and he's also been a recent COVID-19 patient. So that is that's our panel tonight. So let's get right into it. We'll start with you, Ben. First of all, as a pastor, you have a group of people that you have to look over, and obviously before the governor had her executive order, we had some churches it was kind of a gray area, like, do we shut down, do we not? You had one more service. What helped, or what caused you to make that decision?
Yeah, so March 15th was the bubble Sunday where some churches were not having services, some were. On March 15th, the expectation was 250 people or less can meet. So that was the last Sunday we met, March 15th. And then I think that next Monday, I think literally the next day or maybe that Tuesday, they came down with the expectation of 50 or less. And that's when we met, and we canceled all all in-person services at the church that Tuesday. So 250, that March 15th, if churches were above 250, they probably canceled or changed things. But if they were below 250, they met. So we met, and yeah.
Do you have any idea, just because going back to the patient side, do you have any idea, like, did you guys try to trace back where you got it versus, just leaving it out in the open and not knowing? Because you could say it's from someone but you touch stuff at the grocery store, you touch stuff at the restaurant.
Yeah. So, we, if you heard, our church got hit pretty hard. We have 4 people in the hospital right now, and a lot at home recovering. This week was a good week for those at home. A lot of people at home are feeling better. I guess it's one of those things where you could, just try to trace back, who was it, who was the person. But, we never going to come to a good conclusion as to, and I don't think anybody in our church is running around saying, who got me sick.
Right.
Everyone's taking it in stride and doing the best we can. So, it's just one of those things, man.
So tell us about your church, how big it is, and kind of the location as far as.
So this is First Baptist of Goodrich. So we have we've been in Goodrich since 1972, and I've been the pastor there for almost 2.5 years. And things are going great. God's doing a great work, and we're just we're seeing some growth, both spiritually and numerically, and so it's exciting. And so we were anticipating, next couple weeks we're going to be good weeks, but all that changed, and so we're just trying to roll with things. We're online now, all our services, and just trying to really be a help to our people, because I know a lot of churches are doing things, but right now we're really trying to encourage our own people, and a lot of people are sick. So we're on the front lines in that. So
how many attending do you have typically on a Sunday?
Usually Sunday mornings are our biggest, they range between 130, 150, give or take, last Easter we had 210 or something. So I mean, it's good things are happening, so we're just, we're excited about what's down the road, especially after this opens. I feel like a lot of good things are going to come from it. So
you say out of your 130 or however many came that Sunday, probably about how many are sick right now?
the other day I tried to do a little guesstimate. I mean, I can't give for positive, but I'm guessing probably a third, maybe between a third and 2/3. I wouldn't say half, but I mean, I guess if I went down through it, it'd be, I mean, a good chunk, a lot of people. So.
Okay, well, hey, we'll go to Merrie real quick. I know that as a realtor, you guys are stuck on the sidelines a little bit. You're trying to do stuff technologically that's available to you. How has this affected your team and your business?
We're pretty much shut down at this point. People are reluctant to put their house on the market, which I totally understand. We want to be safe. And as far as buyers, if there's nothing on the market, then there's nothing to see. I have one transaction right now that the gentleman bought one of my listings sight unseen, no inspection, just the appraisal, no walkthrough before closing. He has no idea what he's buying, but that's okay for my buyer or for my seller. But it's scary out there. I have a listing appointment that it's a referral or a relocation that I just received today. And that's going to be a little interesting as far as how we're going to have to market that home and see if we can't get that sold so he can get on to where he's going to be relocated. But yeah, right now I think we're going to have to rely a little bit on our inspectors.
So you, with your experience in the market, you've been in real estate how long?
25 years.
25 years. So you've seen a lot. You were around like I was when we had the meltdown before. If this goes on, we can let Evan touch on things that he sees in legislature about economics. But if this goes on too long, how do you think that's going to affect the housing market? We know that's one of the pillars of the economy as a whole is the housing market. How do you think it's going to affect what we do going forward this summer if we can get out of this thing May or June?
Honestly, I think that we've been in good shape for the last 10 years. And I think once this is lifted and people start feeling comfortable again, I think that the market's going to be as strong as ever. So I think we're going to have a little bit of lag, 2 or 3 months before we can get back to that good market. But, we don't have enough homes on the market. We don't have builders that can actually put specs up or very few that can put specs up. And I think we're going to be very tight as far as inventory. And once we have the okay to go back and people feel comfortable, which is going to be a big part of that, I think we're going to be very strong. It'll still be a good year. My team, we've done right around 7 million for the first quarter, which the first quarter is always a very slow quarter. So last year we did 20. We're on a really good pace to do probably closer to 30 this year. But yeah, I think we're going to be okay. It's just a matter of making sure that our clients are paying their payments. They're not taking a hit on their credit. And when we get back up and running, they're good to buy.
Good. That's definitely a concern of mine with with the bill and different lenders telling people you can wait on your payment. We'll push it to the end. Mm-hmm. That is something that they've done before, where people have said, "Yeah, it's fine." I've had people call their lender before, where they've said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll fix it." But they might fix it in the loan term, but they don't not report the negative credit marks. They still do that sometimes, and there's nothing we can do about it. So that is a good concern that you bring up there. Switching over to you, Evan, what kind of things has the legislature, have they considered in Michigan regarding the economy? Anything other than just letting the federal government do their thing?
Yeah, so currently right now we are kind of letting the feds take a lot of the management of this. There are a couple factors to that. One is that in Michigan, obviously, we can't print money. States are, forbidden to print money. And in Michigan as well, we have to have a balanced budget by law. Whereas the feds, you have the federal treasury at your disposal, and you can essentially print all the money you want. There obviously will be economic consequences to that. But in Michigan, we're a lot more tight with how we have to spend our money, discretionary speaking. And all we're really doing right now is trying to ramp up the amount of workers as well as the IT behind the unemployment agencies, as well as various departments that are really getting a lot of hits. I can speak from our office. The biggest cause, the most amounts of emails and so forth are people needing help with unemployment agency and what's going into that.
So tell us a little bit about your role with the representative that you work with.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people have a perception of politics that's similar to West Wing or House of Cards, and that's fair. I would describe our life as more like Parks and Recreation speaking. Watch an episode of Parks and Rec with the town hall, and that's basically our job. But no, a lot of what we do is clerical, answering calls, answering emails, and especially now it's difficult because a lot of people are reaching out with, am I essential? Is my job essential? Can I work? Will I be fined? What is going to happen? And something that's unique to being in the House of Representatives or any branch of legislative government is that we cannot give legal advice at all. So when someone reaches out to our office right now and they say, hey, my job, can I work? We can give them a clue, but we can't 100% say one way or the other if they can. On a typical day, though, when we're not in crisis management as we are now, it's mainly thoughts on a bill, thoughts on a potential idea someone has. If someone's upset at us, that's a lot of it. And really just trying to be the middleman between our residents, our constituents, and the representative, simply because they can't handle it all themselves and they have bills to read over. And even though they are only in Lansing Tuesdays through Thursdays, on Mondays and Fridays, they're knocking doors, they're going to events. It's an around-the-clock job for them.
Okay. So I was unaware of this, but based on what's coming, and we'll talk about it in a second, did the legislation have to vote on Gretchen Wilson's, or Whitmer, I don't know why I said Wilson, is that a singer? Gretchen Whitmer's emergency declaration when she first made it?
So there's been a little confusion about that in the news yesterday. So right now, Governor Whitmer wants a 70-day extension on her emergency order. That is not a 70-day extension on the stay-at-home order or a 70-day extension on what businesses can work or anything like that. That is simply a 70-day extension on her having these emergency powers. Because in the Michigan Constitution, there is a limit in time of how long that can last. The legislature, and I think you're going to get into this in one of your further questions, wants to meet because they do not see 70 days as appropriate. It's my understanding that they see some length of measure of time as appropriate, but 70 days is going too far past the federal April 30th deadline. And the legislature kind of wants to take this on a 2-week by 2-week basis, because if a month from now things are going better, then we would hopefully rescind some of that back. But originally, with her emergency declarations, she does have the power to do that, but there is a time limit from the Michigan Constitution.
Okay. Well, so let's go back to Ben real quick. Ben, tell us about your experience, because, obviously I want to get into what the legislature is doing, and some of them might be putting themselves in a position to do what, to experience what you experienced. So tell us about the experience you had as a patient.
So,
what made you start realizing you're sick? Start with that.
Yeah. So I was, we had church the 15th, and then a few days later, the next day, I just wasn't feeling great, and just that whole week, I was just pretty much down, under the weather. Wednesday, Thursday, just bad headaches, body aches. And then the next Sunday, the 22nd, it was just my breathing. You know, I was having real short, I couldn't like take a deep breath. And it was just really, you know, it was sort of really, I mean, scary, you know, a little bit, but so I laid down to sleep Sunday night, and I'm laying in bed, and we had already been distancing in the house. So everyone had their own mattress in every other room, you know, and I'm laying there and I'm just like, I should probably get myself checked out because, you know, I wanted to wake up. So I'm like, I just couldn't, everything was like, all my breathing was real short. So, so went in to the hospital here, and about 10:30, and really Shannon, my wife, just had to drop me off and walked in, and, you know, this was sort of early on, at least, you know, I mean, they had things set up and nobody could pass certain points, but yeah, so I went into the ER and I was there for a couple hours, and, you know, didn't sleep too good that first night, but yeah, they did all the tests on me, and then I think that next day or the following, they gave me the positive, you know, diagnosis. But so yeah, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the hospital. Probably Monday was like the longest day. I mean, just your breathing. I mean, I could deal with everything else, you know, body aches, headaches, but when your breathing, you know, starts, you know, being a little iffy, it sort of gives you, you know, sort of a wake up call. So I was never on oxygen though. My oxygen was always reading about 42, 43. So I was right there. Yeah, I just, they loaded me up with things. I feel like I'm a good patient. Anytime they walked in and they told me what they wanted to do, I just, okay, you know, I don't know if that's good or bad, but so they gave me a bunch of, you know, IVs. I still got my IV bruise. You can't see it there, but so they gave me a bunch of stuff in IV, a bunch of vitamins, and some other pills I couldn't really pronounce. So, but by Wednesday, I was feeling better, and now I feel great. I mean, I feel like $1 million, you know, so.
What was what'd your family tell you their experience was having to drop you off and take off?
You know, it was hard. With technology is good because, you know, I was able to do FaceTime, and so we didn't really, you know, miss each other. I mean, we did, but we had the phones and stuff. So that was good. And I mean, I know some people who were in there, you know, I have two of our folks, I mean, they forgot their chargers, so they don't have those. But so, you know, they were fine. We just talked every day and, you know, gave updates. And the thing about it is too, like they would rarely come in my room, the nurses. I mean, they came in, you know, for my meals 3 times, and then probably 2 or 3 other times. And that's really not the norm for most patients. I mean, they're usually in there every hour. Because the reason they're going through all this equipment is because they got to put stuff on and then like throw it away or put it in the bin, you know, right away, even if they don't even touch me. So that was I was like, oh, I felt sort of bad. But so the family was good though. Family was good. They were fine. You know, no one was sad.
No one was sad. Anybody scared though? At first?
You know, yeah, maybe a little. I mean, I think my wife was scared more than anybody. But she wasn't really scared. It's just a weird thing. And I mean, you know, as a believer, you know, I just had peace. I don't know. I just wasn't really, you know, I didn't really get too scared, you know, and I know not everyone's like that, but, you know, I had peace, and, you know, I tried to keep a good spirit. And like I said, I feel like, I was a good patient, talked to the nurses, and they were great. So yeah.
Well, Merrie, experiences like this, is this kind of, you know, one reason you think it's going to be a little bit of trepidation when people enter back into the market and they don't want to have this experience where they're dropped off at the hospital and their family's not allowed to be with them and all that stuff? Is that something that you've talked to some of your clients who are kind of like on the fence about when they're going to jump back in the market?
I think most people are scared and they want to do what's right, and that's the safe thing to do. But I honestly do believe that once this is lifted and they start to feel more comfortable, we're going to go right back to where we were. So I'm not really too concerned with the market. I think that a little safety right now is a good thing. And in a month or two, we'll be knocking it out of the park again.
Is there anything that you're doing to, like, with technology to help people get their house ready so that as soon as it's lifted, they can list and they're ready? You've already told them to paint or any of that stuff?
I haven't gone into like prepping the house, but I have, I have a really good CRM and website that I have been reaching out to everybody in there, letting them know that once this is lifted, we can still make the phone calls, we can still talk on the phone and get an idea as to what's going on, where you want to be, when you want to be out of there. And, this is just a little hiccup. It's not really going to affect too much in our market as long as people can make their payments and keep their credit up. We had staggering amount of people that are filing for unemployment. That's a little bit scary, but as long as, if they have it in their mind that they want to buy a house, they know what they need to do to keep their credit scores up and prepare. And we're right there with them, trying to guide them through the next couple months.
100%. It takes discipline right now. It's tough. It takes discipline, though, to make sure that you keep yourself in the best position, because who knows what's going to happen and what these creditors are going to do and all that good stuff. So, Evan, back to you. The legislators taking a little heat for wanting to meet face to face. I actually just, I'm not really into I never was in the military. So I saw this, the story of the Navy getting, relieving the captain of duty from the Roosevelt, I think it was. And so I don't really know enough details to have too much of an opinion on that. But I saw a video of the send-off party and everybody is in a huge crowd together. Like, he was just complaining that tons of people might have the virus and they're on this ship in tight quarters. Please give us relief. And then the party when he left was like, it was worse than some of the games I've been to in stadiums. So the legislator kind of faces the same thing. They want us to stay away from each other, and then they want to meet in quarters and have their vote live and in person. Why is that something that they feel they have to do?
Yeah, so there's a few things at hand. I will say I think Governor Whitmer has done a phenomenal job with everything she has been facing. I can't imagine the pressure she is under. But there is, something to be said if I think she really wants a 70-day emergency extension, and if the legislature doesn't meet, that is what will happen. Now, the legislature has to meet in person because the Michigan Constitution says so. The governor, in times of emergency, can allow for the legislature to somehow convene outside of the Capitol, but that's never been tested. We don't really have the capability for that right now. And if Governor Whitmer wants the 70-day extension, she has no reason to call the legislature to meet because that will not be in her best political interest. I will say I've seen much of the articles for the legislature taking heat on meetings. I expect I expect no staff will be there. There's usually staff there or across the street where we work. I don't expect we will be there. I was just reading today, they are going to take temperature checks of everyone coming into the building. And the last thing is, for the legislature to meet, all we need is a quorum call. So that just means a majority of the 100 and, unfortunately now, because of Representative Robinson, 109 representatives. So I would expect this to look a lot how the U.S. House of Representatives looked. You come in, you check in that you're there, and then you do not need everyone present if you do a voice call vote. So I would not, and I can't say this with authority, but I would not expect for there to be 56 people sitting next to each other voting there for 6-7 hours a day. I would expect this to look how the feds handled things. And I think really the reason that there is bickering over whether or not the legislature should be there just comes down to whether or not someone favors the 70-day extension. So there are politics at play. But I fully trust that there will be safety precautions in place to keep everyone safe and out of harm's way.
And that rule you're talking about meeting elsewhere is usually, like when that was written, we assumed they meant somewhere together, not in the Capitol. If the Capitol's under attack or something, probably not virtually, like where everyone is somewhere different.
Yeah, so
that's kind of why they're not going that route. It doesn't look like.
The Michigan Constitution is one of the latest state constitutions. It's written in 1963. In fact, I think this is the third state capital we've had because the first two burned down. So there was probably something in there where they said, well, okay, if this one burns down, we need somewhere to meet. If I had to, I'm not a historian, but if I had to assume that had somewhat likelihood of why that clause is in there. And like any constitutional provision for them to meet over Zoom, they would need a 2/3 vote of the legislature, and then the citizens would have to vote on the ballot. So we have a little antiquated constitutional system in terms of voting. So I would presume that wouldn't change for a while, and that's why we have to meet in person.
Got you. Well, stay on the legal side, Ben. What is your take on, obviously, if you're on the church side of things, you hear a lot of church and state separation when there's religion, quote unquote, brought into something legal. You hear, hey, keep church and state separated, but now it's kind of flipped. And we got like a guy in Florida who says, I don't care about the stay-at-home rule. Church is necessity. I'm having church, and he's got a humongous church. So there's a lot of people there. So now does the government step in, and can they tell him not to meet? What's your take on that? Even though you're on the side of, hey, we're just going to do the smart thing and not meet, we're not because we're told not to, but because we love our people and don't want them to get sick.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, probably because we've been hit, in a sense. I mean, it's because it's affected us personally. We're being, pretty intentional as far as, okay, we're not getting together. We're not gathering, for any reason really. So, I've heard of some pastors who are, making that call, hey, don't, we're not going to do this. But honestly, I just don't think that's reasonable in the sense of, I mean, I get what they're saying in the sense of, hey, church is church and it's essential and I agree with that. But at the same time, I guess we're being, just aware of what's going on. This is, I don't think they're setting any precedents of, the state can come in and shut you down. I really just think churches ought to take a practical approach and say, okay, hey, this is something we have to address and we have to be aware of it. So, again, I look at it too. I don't think that pastor I think there's probably very few people who are praising that pastor. Most people are looking at him like, what are you doing? And so I feel like, most people would understand, this is not the norm. This is nothing any of us have experienced before. So I know a lot of pastors are going back to the 1918 Spanish flu, I think, and looking at what some pastors have said during that. And most of them back then said the same thing that most of us are saying now. Let's be reasonable. Let's do what we can. I've heard even back then that they were able to meet in fields, and just all spread out, so. But, we're just trying to take a reasonable approach and not, be, we already have some attention on us already as our church, but, we're just trying to be reasonable and, we're going to abide by those. I mean, Romans 13 talks about, being subject to the authorities. I mean, government is a God-given authority. So, when they, want to have things that come down that are reasonable, that are, I mean, and even sometimes not reasonable, we abide by them just because we want to honor God in doing that. So, yeah, we're going to approach it, with a reasonable spirit and, we're all in this together. So I don't think it's a personal attack on the church at all.
I would have to agree with that. I would have to agree with what are you thinking about that pastor down? He also said that he has a machine they cleaned with. They put stuff in the air so that it knocks any germs off of you, and any in the air it knocks into the ground. I don't know what kind of magic they're doing down there, but I've never heard of that machine.
As a side note, and this is a total side note, for anybody wondering, our church was professionally cleaned. It is probably the cleanest building in Genesee County. So we had someone come in and they did their thing, and then we're coming behind them and doing things. So, and I know, like Merrie said, I mean, there's going to be some fear, but we just doing everything we can to alleviate that and, go from there.
And you'll continue to stream services even after the ban's lifted, so that people, I imagine, can still watch from home until they're comfortable.
Yeah, we've streamed online, for the last couple, for about a year and a half or so. But so now everything's just totally, online, like Wednesday nights and stuff like that. So, and we're doing some things with our teens and our kids, getting them on Zoom and, doing some things and just doing what we can, so.
Good stuff. Well, Merrie, we're at our half-hour point. Do you have any final words from your perspective?
I don't think so.
Good. She got out the important stuff, which is take care of your credit, keep your payments on time so that when this is over, you can buy a house, right?
That's right.
All right. Evan?
A little break is not going to hurt us.
Good. Yes. There was a lot of people in real estate freaking out, Merrie, like realtors, other people freaking out. So,
well, yeah, I know. Take it day by day, and we will get through it.
Yes, I appreciate the level-headedness that a lot have shown in all the different positions we're out there in the government and in community groups like Ben and in real estate that I'm involved in as well. So, Evan,
safety is first.
Correct, 100%. Evan, any final words?
No, not too much. Just besides the fact of stay calm. We will get through this. The government isn't collapsing. No new world order, any apocalyptic scenarios are playing out here. Statistically, if you look at some of the models that the government's using, like the Merrie model, Michigan's peak right now is projected for about April 9th or so, and we are on pace for that. I know there are some other models that are showing a little bit later, but we will get through this. And I know that the government is not going anywhere. Whether that makes someone happy or sad is another question. But we're always there to serve. If any of your friends, your family members have any question, their state representative, their state senator, they will help them. They will attempt to get them on unemployment if need be, or whatever the issue is. And we have our phones on us. Our cell phones are on us no matter the day or time right now. And we're just going to keep going forward and keep a positive attitude and praise God for every day, because every single day is his creation, and this is the day that he's made.
All right, Ben, final thoughts.
I would just encourage those, like one of the struggles I guess I have is, I've had it, and like I said, I feel great. And so I want to just, go out and live like normal. And so I would just encourage those who've recovered to still just be respectful of those things. I feel like I could go out and do anything, and like I'm immune. I don't know if I'm immune or not, but I feel great. And so my tendency is to I want to go out and do everything, but I still just have to be reasonable in the sense of understanding others' fears and obviously the regulations. So I'm going to still abide by them, and still do what we can. And also I would say, I think this is going to teach us all something collectively as Americans, whether it's where were your priorities, or where were your but I think also there's things that it's teaching us individually, what am I learning from this individually? And so, and of course, as a pastor, I tell our folks, and I tell everybody who watches online, that we can have peace in Christ, and, we rest in that. So, I would challenge, what are we going to learn collectively, but also what are we learning individually? I'm sure everyone's learning a little something new about their family and their friends and so, but we're just going through this together and trust in Christ, and he can give you peace.
I saw a little Facebook post, speaking of that had two dogs that looked like they were just trying to kill each other, just threatening each other, barking, and it said husbands and wives during the isolation.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not all experiencing that, but thank you guys. thank you for coming on and sharing your thoughts and your experiences from the different walks of life that we're all part of. I appreciate that. Monday, we're working on our panel still. We have Stefan Brochu from Remax. We also have a couple nurses that we're working on from 2 different hospitals in Flint, so hopefully they can join us. And if you didn't catch yesterday, check that out. We had a teacher in China, a nurse from Genesis, and another realtor. So good stuff. We're just trying to provide as much information as possible from different walks of life and different ways this is affecting us. And it's all about being together in community. So thank you guys. And you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your homes because that's where we're all stuck. So
Yeah.
we'll see you.
All right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
See ya.